This was insane to witness. Last night, the highly anticipated matchup between the Bills and the Baltimore Ravens did not disappoint, with many already calling it the game of the season. The Bills trailed for most of the game, but ended up pulling out a 41-40 win with a game-winning field goal. While there's a lot of room for improvement, let's get into what went right and what stood out for the Bills. My name is Maeve Miller. I'm a part of the Bills Digest team, so please subscribe to our Bills Digest YouTube channel for all latest updates now that the season has started. So like I mentioned, the Bills were down the entire game, and even a couple minutes into the fourth, they still were down 15, and that was just like one of the craziest games. Like I still can't believe it. Typical Bills fashion, I was pretty pessimistic and didn't really think they could pull it off, and I don't know if many people thought they could pull it off, considering fans were leaving. I know my family members went to bed, but they really showed out, and it was kind of a group effort with obviously Allen leading the charge. But I thought this picture's insane. It's 40-38 with 50 minutes left. They're on their own 30, and they come down and end up winning the game, and that's just like insane. And the game-winning drive, just he got all these different targets, and he utilized everybody on that field, and it really was a group effort, especially with no timeouts left. With Tyler Bass being hurt at kicker, Matt Prater really showed up, and this says that he took a red eye on Thursday to join the Buffalo Bills and just nailed the game-winning pass or game-winning field goal. And that's what Allen said after the game, like, welcome to Buffalo. Like, this is kind of what it's like out here. You know, the games are crazy comebacks, but, kind of storybook winnings. So very exciting. And hopefully Matt will stay on the team for a little bit longer. Not sure what Bass' situation is. But I definitely do want to get into some of the standouts from the game, especially with Allen proving the MVP status, because throughout the game, when Lamar Jackson would be playing well, there'd be MVP chants at him and kind of a slam at Josh, but he really showed out. He's just so good under pressure. Like, it can't be overstated how good he is when that ball's in his hands. In just the fourth quarter alone, he had 4 scoring drives. He had 394 passing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns and 30 yards rushing. And he ended up, obviously he breaks another record every game he plays. He seems to do something better. And after this game, he surpassed the running back, Thurman Thomas, who is just very famous for the Bills, for the most rushing touchdowns in franchise history with 66. I would say his passes definitely did look a little shaky at the start. There's a couple that were overthrown, which was a little bit strange for him, but he definitely pulled it together. And like immediately by the time the second quarter happened, things were getting better. And I know they didn't score a lot, but I feel like it was more on the defensive side that wasn't going well as compared to the offense. And I just feel like right now he's so used to coming from behind and still winning. There's a quote from McDermott. He said he's always been like that, though, referring to Allen's poise. He wants the ball in key moments of the game. That's what the great ones do. That's their mindset. That's what they want, and he's never out of his mind. And that's what I just love about him, is that he's had so much practice, against some of these great teams, that being down 15 with 4 minutes left, it's just like another game. Like, anything can happen. I feel like this game really showed it. Even though if you're a fan, you've seen the Bills have insane comebacks. This one was really different because the Ravens played great. Their offense, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are 2 of some of the most athletic guys in that field, and they're just so good, especially with that rushing game. And I just can't believe the fact that they pulled this out. But yeah, like I said, Allen really is a leader in these moments. He hypes guys up while still kind of getting them calm. And, if a play doesn't seem like it's going well, he'll just put it in his hands and run. And that's what I love about him, is that he does somewhat get that superhero role where he wants it himself because he knows he can do it. But he still end up targeting lots of different guys. Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid for the tight end, and then Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, James Cook, Ty Johnson, just so many different targets and so many guys that were doing their job out there. Speaking of Coleman, I wanted to talk about him because he definitely had a more exciting game than usual. Going into the fourth quarter, he only had 1 catch for 17 yards, and I would say his most memorable moment of that first half was during that 2-point conversion where he stepped out of bounds and came back in, which ended up nullifying that 2-point conversion, bringing that up, 2-point conversions were definitely a low point of the game. We were 0 for 3 on that. And the play with Coleman was a little bit controversial because some thought he was shoved out and he wouldn't just walk out of bounds on his own. But whatever, either way, the win happened the way it happened. Coleman definitely stepped it up in the second half and in the other quarters, because he ended up finishing with 8 catches for 112 yards. And he had that 1 touchdown reception from 10 yards away. This was definitely a stressful game. There was maybe 8 minutes left or so, and it was an 80-yard drive that really just kind of helped shift momentum a little bit. But yeah, it was 4th and 2, and Allen threw it, ended up getting deflected off of maybe two guys, and Keon Coleman ended up catching it in the end zone for that touchdown. It was tipped. It was just a crazy play. Like watching it back, I had to watch it like in slow motion. I was like, what just happened? But he ended up catching it and finding it that way. And I feel like he was definitely recognized. Like this article says that he rose to the occasion, because he had a kind of a shaky last year, and like the Bills don't have a clear-cut wide receiver one, which definitely was interesting because like Khalil Shakir didn't get the ball as much, but I mean, whatever works for the Bills. And Coleman's just a very athletic guy. He's got a lot of great energy, and I just hope that he continues to be kind of an impact player and not just kind of like sitting on the sidelines. He's also impactful on the last drive. He caught a 25-yard pass over the middle that ended up setting up the winning field goal. So I was glad to see him, getting out there, making plays in that fourth quarter, but hopefully in the future that we can kind of see that in the first and second quarter. But I will say the Ravens defense played very well in the beginning. Like they were really locking us down on the secondary, the pass rush. So I'm still overall very pleased with how Coleman played. On the defensive side, I feel like there was a lot of struggles, but one player that really did well was Ed Oliver. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the Bills, and this was just a career performance for him. He had 6 tackles, including 3 for loss, and a sack on the first drive that forced the Ravens to settle for a field goal, and this was like a huge play. It was a 15-yard sack, and Lamar Jackson does not get sacked that often. He's such an athletic, quick guy. He's shifty. There was a play where we thought we were going to tackle him for a loss of like 20, 30 yards, and he ended up getting like running, and getting like a 20-yard rush on us. So like he's just a very hard guy to pin down and tackle. And you can see in his picture, we have him going against Henry. Henry is such like just a freak of nature to me. He's huge, but so fast, and he can go toe-to-toe with a guy like Ed Oliver, who's a defensive tackle, even though he's a running back. Notably, also, he forced a fumble on the Ravens drive in the fourth quarter against said Derrick Henry, and this was definitely, like I would say, the play of the game. On the defensive side, it definitely changed momentum, and the Bills were able to, they had just scored, they were able to get the ball back and score again, and that's why, there's only a couple minutes left, they were able to do that. And like I said, I would say this was one of the only parts of the defense that worked. I don't want to get into too much of the negatives, because that's something we'll talk about a little bit later, but defense definitely just struggled a little bit, and these guys knew it. Even this was after the game. Terrell Bernard just said, we didn't play well at all. It was the first week of the season, and there's still a lot of stuff to clean up, and it was still probably the craziest game he's ever witnessed, but still, like, they know it's a team effort. The defense knows what they can do. We have a lot of injuries, especially in the secondary. So, a rookie like Dorian Strong, who's playing in his first game, you could definitely see he made a lot of mistakes, but in the end, guys like Ed Oliver, Terrell Bernard, Christian Benford, they were able to, kind of put the team a little bit on their shoulders, even though they did get 40 points scored against them. The offense was able to outplay them. And that's what I think is going to be like a theme for the Bills, is that if we don't have the strongest defense, we just need to have an offense that can always outscore. And the Bills kind of got off to a slower start with that, even though the first drive was very good. They had scored, but I think they know that in the future that they just got to stay ahead. And there won't be many games like this. The Ravens are definitely one of the best teams in the league, and I'm sure we'll play them again down the road. And now they'll really have a chip on their shoulder, but hopefully the Bills can keep that offense up. And they really showed that once again we're a Super Bowl caliber team, and we're being led by an MVP quarterback. That people can say Lamar Jackson should have gotten it, but I think that just really showed why he is. And it's not just he just is a leader. It's his talent. It's his energy. And he's even funny after the game, yelling at Bills Mafia, like, have some faith. Like, stay next time. Don't leave. Like, who knows what can happen. I think this really showed. And as a fan, it was just one of the best games I've ever seen. And I just was pacing around, super excited. And it definitely set the year off to a good start. It's always fun to win the first game of the season, especially against such a strong opponent like the Baltimore Ravens. But yes, once again, please subscribe to the Bills Digest YouTube channel. We'll be talking about the Bills season and making a lot of videos about this. So please stay tuned and go Bills.